I wanted to be a CEO. I like that ultimate accountability and I like that ultimate responsibility, and I'm willing to take it in the good times and bad times. I was in a rush to work. I knew I wanted to work. I finished high school when I was 17. I finished college when I was 20. So I've always sort of been in a little bit of a hurry.
Were you in leadership roles early on?
I was a shift manager at McDonald's when I was 16 years old. And I talk about that experience a lot because it was quite incredible. I mean, if you think at 16, what I was handling was insubordination. I was handling cash management. I was handling customer satisfaction. I mean, for a 16-year-old to have to think about running an entire shift of a McDonald's restaurant, I think was formative and important for me.
You've also said that your first job as the receptionist at an ad agency
Yes.
was really important to you in terms of your growth. Describe how that first job, what it taught you, and what were the values or the things that you learned taking out of it?
I always joke that I put a perfectly well-skilled receptionist out of a job by taking that. I didn't know how to answer phones or anything like that, but I figured it out. To your point on values, what I learned was never be above doing anything. I think that's absolutely critical. I think it's critical for leaders today. So anytime we're in a pitch, I'll do anything. It doesn't matter. We don't worry about rank or hierarchy or anything else. We just get it done. And I think probably that was something that really important that I learned in that job.
You've been in your current role now for less than a year. What surprised you most about the transition and taking on this next step?
As people who are advertisers and marketers, we profess to our clients all the time, they've got to be brave, they've got to take risks. And I think if we aren't people who are willing to do that, then why should our clients do it? So I think part of it is I do like to push myself, and I do like to feel slightly unsure and uncertain. And certainly taking this job, I mean, I didn't have any, enough background certainly to be considered, qualified. I'd never done this before, so I like the water to be just where my nose is just out of the water, so I'm not drowning, but that I have to paddle really hard.
How do you know when you're starting to get restless in a job? How do you know when it's the right time to take that next leap?
I wake up every day before my alarm clock. I don't know, it's just one of those things. And I set it every day like I'm in a fearful state that I won't, and I want to get going and I want to get out of bed and I want to get after it. And I think when that level of passion or emotion about your job shifts, for me at least, then I know that I need to look at something else. I have 3 very lovely small people at home that I could spend time with, so it's got to be something that competes with emotionally and in a place for you passionately that you want to go do and spend your time with. And that to me is I have a very clear barometer on that.
Describe how you think about all these different aspects of your life and how you navigate that.
Early in my career, when I'd have people say, you just need to practice life balance, I just thought that was crap. I could never figure out what this thing called life balance was. Because it was, it's lip service. There's no way to balance it. So I think you have to kind of get away from that and get into something that works for you. For me, I talk about life integration. I do things that make my life work. They may or may not work for other people's lives, but I'll take red eyes a lot. I take last flights or earliest flights out a lot, which allows me to have one more dinner with my children at night or have one more breakfast before they go to school. Those things are really, really important. And it means that I've got to shift my life a little bit around them and then work at different, weird, strange hours. Then that's what I do. I think everyone's got to find their own way, and I think part of it is that notion of integration rather than balance, because balance is a false goal. It's a terrible, ambition to give, especially young men and women who want to have families. It doesn't make sense to them.
What's the best piece of advice you've received on being a working mom?
You have to own it, and I think sometimes that's difficult. So especially when I was at Coke, I was in a global role. I'd leave for a week sometimes if I was going, somewhere far. And my children would say, I don't want you to go, I don't want you to go. And in that moment, what you really want inside you, what you want to say is, I don't want to go either. But that then doesn't make sense to an 8-year-old. Well, if you don't want to go, then why are you walking out the door? So you have to own it, right? You have to own why you're doing it. So I would just do my best to own this is what mommy does, and I'm going to go to Istanbul. FaceTime is a brilliant tool. So, they've looked out of every hotel window I've ever been in. If you make them part of it and you own it, rather than try to not own it, that makes sense to them.